Today on the Newsa-Cast, we'll be talking with the Miracle League of the Fox Valley, the Challenger Football League that is run through Pop Warner Football. Both of these are for students and players with special needs, and we will also do the Noosa Old Look at New and the Forgotten and Never Forgetting. Now let's get this show on the road.
Welcome to the Newsa-Cast. What is a Newsa-Cast? It's where we bring local folk stories to life through conversation.
Hello, Newsa-Cast listeners, and welcome to episode 10. And I think this is a special one, Joe. I really like what we did with this episode. We're taking a look at the Miracle League and the Challenger League, which are both adaptive sports for players with special needs. And it's really important that we highlight these organizations as well. They've received money to us from Red Smith in the past, and it's just such a neat opportunity. You're going to hear in the interviews how amazing these two organizations are.
100% agree, Tosh. We've talked about this before. It's one of the things that we want the Newsa-Cast to do is to get these stories out. And we have a really cool story again, this week. So we talked to a couple of different folks, one with the Miracle League, like you mentioned. And for any of you that are out there, if you go out to Memorial Park, there's a beautiful baseball field out there that's the Miracle League. They're always looking to fundraise. All these groups need money, but the opportunity that they're giving these kids to play baseball and put on the type of environment that they're going to explain. I mean, it's like Timber Rattler type environment. That's super exciting to give these kids that opportunity. And in the Pop Warner Challenger League, Tosh, we have talked to some awesome people that we've interviewed. Right. I think this might be my favorite. Mike is a rock star. I love that guy.
Yeah, and Mike is the inspiration when he was 11 years old. And when you listen to his interview, you're going to notice that he speaks with a device. He listens, and basically, I think he uses his eyes to tell the device what he wants to say. So it's a really cool interview. I mean, very, very passionate about sports. While we were interviewing him, we saw all of his Brewers stuff.
Yeah.
I know he had the Brewers game on as well. But, these two, the feeling you get when you go to these, I know my son Will has been a buddy for Miracle League for the last couple of years, and you go to these events and these games, and it is just the coolest thing is everybody's cheering for everybody. It doesn't matter which team you're on, who you are, who you know, they're cheering for everybody. That's what sports is about. That's what it should always be about. You're cheering for the sport. You're cheering for these individuals who are out there. And it's really, really cool to just, it gives you goosebumps when you're sitting there.
Absolutely.
And just seeing the smiles on everybody's faces.
Mike has a world-class smile. His mom sent me a couple of pictures, and it's the best smile. I even texted his mom this. It's the best smile I've ever seen in my life. The kid is just beaming. But they're playing football. He's in a wheelchair, but he's got a football. And he's being pushed to the end zone. And we asked him this. We ask every guest, especially players, just, what's the feeling? What's it feel like to play sports? What's it feel like to, just what's that experience from your standpoint? We asked Mike that too. And he gets that same feeling that everybody gets, that you're the man, you're scoring the touchdown. The crowd is cheering. Yeah. I mean, that we get short bursts of those feelings every once in a while, and it's just the most special feeling in the world. And Mike gets to feel that. Every Miracle League participant, every Challenger League participant gets to feel that feeling. And that's special because everybody needs to feel that feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So this is a special episode, and I was really happy that we were able to put this one together. And we're going to do some plugs for both these organizations as we introduce the speakers, but always remember, they're always looking for volunteers. The Miracle League, if you have been out to Memorial Park and you've seen it, they're putting in a new field. Mm-hmm. They're resurfacing the field this year. So this next summer of 2024, they will have a new field in place, and it is built so that wheelchairs and anybody can use it, and that's what's really neat. And I know that they're working to put a new turf in for the Challenger League as well, so it's more adaptable and better for wheelchairs and every other type of device, so that anybody can get out there and play. So please think about these organizations if you're donating money or donating time, and get a hold of them on different Facebooks and their web pages and things like that.
And Tosh, you mentioned too the Challenger League when we were talking about this interview, and they had let me know that they're 80% fundraised for the Challenger field. It's going to be a turf. If people familiar with the Pop Warner fields, they have 2 great 100-yard grass fields lit with stands. Just to the east of that, where usually the teams warm up, they're going to put in I believe it's a 60-yard field. It's going to be a full end zone, 50-yard field with a full end zone. So 60-yard turf field. And same thing as the Miracle League. They can spin around in their wheelchairs. They can throw the ball. It's perfect. There'll be access from the parking lot down there. So they're nice. In the home stretch. You can, like Tosh said, you go to their Facebook page, their websites, just give them a call on the phone, but the volunteer, right. the time, I mean, all these groups, and especially these 2 groups, need these are one of the best opportunities, I think, as a family. I mean, Tosh, you've done it with your kids, but to do it as a group, spend a couple of hours on a Saturday or a Tuesday night in the middle of the summer with your family, giving these kids a great time, and you're right. going to get just as much out of it as the kid's going to get out of it. So it's well worth it.
And sometimes I think you even get more.
Yeah, I believe
because you appreciate the things that you have. So
absolutely,
get out there and do it. So as we transition a little here, Joe, speaking of turf fields, you got to be on a brand new turf field this week in Ruffin.
Yeah, it's down in. We talked about it last week. The just the way these high school fields are. So our crew, we were lucky enough to be down in Fond du Lac. So we saw the new turf field down there, and it seats 3,000 people. The stands are cool, wow. But the lights, they're LED lights, which there's some of those around. Kimberly's LED, and those lights are just incredible. But what made these even more special is now they start to blink. So, strobe, kind of like Lambeau Field does that now, but during the national anthem, they'd turn red, and it was just kind of cool what they're doing. I
heard Chilton has the same lighting system.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Because they said the colors can flash, and when they score touchdowns, they'll flash the colors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's some of the hockey arenas are going to those types of LED lights as well. I know Beaver Dam has it for sure. Beaver Dam is a yellow and green, and their lights start flashing yellow and green as the hockey team takes the ice. It's pretty cool. It's a neat environment for the players for sure.
All these, I mean, the video boards in some of these schools now that are coming in. I mean, it's just like we talked about last week, just the facilities are just evolving at the high school level, whether it's an indoor facility, whether these gyms are just, you and I grew up in the old Appleton West Symes gym, the old, well, I love that place, but that thing was a shoebox compared to what they play in now. But it's
pretty incredible.
It is. It's all that aside, it's pretty darn cool. These lighting systems, and just again the atmosphere. That Fond du Lac game probably had a couple thousand people at the game. It was a good
awesome.
High school football game. It was, that's what we're here for on Friday nights, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I got an old one for you, Joe. Not an old one, but this place has been around for a long time, and my wife has never been to this greasy burger place. So we went over the weekend to Mims.
Oh yeah,
in Menasha, and had a good greasy butter burger.
Oh yeah,
sat right at the counter, and it kind of, you go in there, and I tell you what, you don't really feel like it's like in Chicago or something like that. Getting a burger somewhere.
The nostalgic lunch counter, right? I mean, it actually has a legit lunch counter. I don't know why those went away. I don't get that at all. Like downtown Appleton, there's no there's a lot of great places to have lunch, but there's no place like that where you just hop in. And my dad talking about that. There was a lot of great lunch counters. That's
I think the only one that I can, and I know there's other ones, but Shriner's Diner
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
on Oneida still has the
Yep,
counters
they
for
do.
breakfast.
And Mary's Place, I think, has
Mary's Place.
has one.
Yeah, that's right.
But the classic down, you're right in the fact. I feel that way too when I go to Mim's. You do feel like you're in a big city, like you're in the loop, and you're gonna run in and grab a burger that you need a towel when you're done. But damn, it's good, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, and then, I had a conversation with the guy sitting next to you, just talking and shooting the crap and stuff. And
Yeah.
They hear your conversation, they comment, and it's close, it's confined, it's cool. It's a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
So yeah. What did I see? 1957 that opened.
I think you're right. I know they just changed ownerships in the last year or two.
Okay.
I think a younger couple keeping the tradition going, but it's in places like that. we've lost so many of those kind of places. We got to keep them going. It's the old Butterburger. I know they do it at Culver's, and another good one. Remember Kroll's up in Green Bay. That's another great Butterburger.
What is what's the place in Milwaukee as well? Cops.
Yes. Yeah.
Cops in Milwaukee. Yep. So you got Kroll's in Green Bay, Cops in Milwaukee, Mim's in Menasha. So absolutely.
Gosh,
check out those places.
At Cops, a little Butterburger with nice custard. Come on now.
Nice custard, a little chocolate milkshake.
Yes. Oh.
Or malt. Yeah, absolutely.
We've covered ice cream previously. I love ice cream.
Joe is a connoisseur. There's no doubt about that. A little Cherry Garcia, Joe.
Yes, yeah. Fish food, it's all
Fish
good.
Food, yep. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. You when you go to places like that, and kind of you feel like you're somewhere where you're not just in like little town of Menasha or the Fox Valley here.
I agree.
So yeah, definitely. Yeah, you got to support those local places, and there's local places that we're not even mentioning in Appleton. In Little Chute and places like that, Neenah as well, all over the Fox Valley. But it's fun to support those local businesses, and you never know who you're going to run into, who you're going to talk to. It's a fun experience.
You and I, not to steal an idea from another show, but maybe you and I one episode will have to do a draft of top little restaurants in the Newsa-Cast area.
There you go. That could be fun. We'll have to think about that. One of the
categories can be Butterburgers.
Well, if you enjoy these conversations and you enjoy the interviews that we have, feel free to tune in and subscribe to any place you get your podcast, whether it's Spotify, whether it's Apple, wherever you get it. We'd appreciate it. We really hope that we can continue to grow. And as we grow with you, and we get a bigger audience. And also remember, Joe said this in the past, email us with suggestions. We're always looking to people to interview because everybody has a story. And we really feel we want to get people's stories out there. So please make sure that if you have a suggestion or you have somebody you think that we should interview, send us an email.
Newsa-Cast@gmail.com. Like Tosh said, we love the interaction. Follow us on our social pages. We're on Instagram or X, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever it's called now, Facebook. We even do some TikToks. We have some pretty cool Bill Walton TikToks. So yeah, it's Newsa-Cast for pretty much all our social handles, and engage with us. Tosh and I, we want to hear from the people.
Yeah, absolutely. So we hope you enjoyed this episode, and we're going to kick it off here and head out to hear some great interviews with some great people. All right, Newsa-Cast listeners, we are going to introduce the Miracle League, and you're going to hear an interview with the director of the Miracle League, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what the organization is. But what we really want to do as we introduce this interview is to encourage you to go to Miracle League of the Fox Valley. Their information is actually on the Goodwill website, but it has links to donate. It has links to volunteer. They have about 350 volunteers that are needed to make the Miracle League run. So we encourage you, as you listen to this interview, to go out there, volunteer to be a buddy, donate to help them resurface their field, and to help bring these special experiences for all of these kids.
This is my first season as the program leader, so I'm learning lots of things.
Oh, great.
I mean, first
awesome.
off, the field is absolutely awesome. What a cool field.
Yes, absolutely.
Did you guys, is that the second time you've had to put turf down, or is that the original turf that's out there?
That is the original
Okay.
turf. Yes. And the plan is before next season, we're going to be doing some field renovations. So hopefully fall or early spring, that's going to be happening.
What type of things have to be done?
They're going to be doing a field resurfacing is what I was told when I started.
Black pellets back down?
Yeah.
So that field originally was built in 2010?
2010.
Okay.
Yep.
And that field, for those people who might be listening who don't know, it's a field that is rubberized. It has turf. So wheelchairs and everything. I mean, anything can go on there, right?
Yep, absolutely. It's fully accessible. Yep, for kids of all abilities.
Located at Memorial Park, if people don't know.
Yep, in Appleton. Yes.
Do you have a relation? Obviously, you have a relationship with the city of Appleton. Did they help build that field as well, or I guess what is your relationship with the city?
Sure. Yep. They did help build that field, and so back in 2010 when it was built, Lisa and Mark Robbins, they were parents. They're parents of a child with autism, and he had played Miracle League in another county at the time, and that was life-changing for them and their family. And so they wanted to bring the Miracle League to the Fox Valley where they lived. And so they started working with the city of Appleton actually back in 2008 before the field was built.
Nice. That kind of leads into exactly that, what the Robins went through. Could you kind of talk a little bit about what is the experience for the athlete, for the kid? What is life changing for them? I mean, I can certainly imagine, but if you speak to that a little bit, it would be kind of nice.
Yeah. So as you may be aware already, our baseball program is for children ages 4 to 19 with cognitive and or physical disabilities. And so we give every child a chance to play baseball. So every player that we have is paired with a volunteer buddy, and that buddy is there to not only keep that player safe during the games, but also just to build a relationship and kind of friendship throughout the season and support that player throughout the season. And that also gives the parents and the families the opportunity to just kind of sit back in the stands and watch their kids play ball.
And they're playing ball. They're swinging the bat. They're running the bases.
Yes, it's super fun. The games are really fun and like energetic, and it's just the smiles on everyone's faces, and they're so fun to watch.
I will attest. I've been to a few of them with my son being a buddy, and it is an event. It is a fantastic experience. Your announcers are doing a great job. Everybody's cheering for everybody. It's such a cool experience.
Absolutely. My own son has played in the league for the last 7 years, and we still remember our first game and just how amazing we thought this league was. So
get the goosebumps before the game. You get that adrenaline going. There's no better feeling than that for sure.
In 2010, I think I saw you started with under 100 players, but in the last season, how many did you have now?
Yes, this last season we had 227 players. So we have grown a lot.
And volunteers, I mean, I assume that you always need volunteers. The more volunteers, the better.
Always looking. Yes, absolutely. More volunteers. We have lots of different types of volunteer positions. This season we had over 330 volunteers this season. Yeah, but always looking for help. Absolutely.
And how many nights a week is the field used at this point?
Right now we use it 4 nights a week. We play we play 2 games per night and then 4 nights a week.
Wow. What's a game look like? How many innings do you play and how long do they take?
They usually take about an hour. We play 2 innings, and the rules are pretty simple. Everyone bats, everyone runs the bases, and then everyone crosses home plate. We always end in a tie. There's no outs. And always between our 2 innings, all the players and buddies and coaches, we all come on the field and we all sing.
Oh, you got to love that. Yeah. Did they get a chance to argue with the umpire?
Once in a while. Usually our announcers will give the pitchers and stuff a hard time, so it's kind of fun.
And for a family looking to get into this, you said they can start at the age of 4?
4.
Wow.
Yep, we do 4 up until the age of 19.
I was going to say, I remember being at one of the last games of the year, and you do special things for the players who are aging out.
Yes, we do. Yep. So all of our players at the end of the season receive either a medal or trophy. And then this year we did some special plaques for our retiring players that aged out of the league this year.
That's fantastic.
Hey, Jenny, can you talk about your son? You said he plays in the league. What's his name?
Yep.
What's he tell us?
Yeah, so my oldest son, Mason, he is 11, and he has played Miracle League for the past 7 years. We actually played a year in Miracle League of the Lakeshore, which is in Manitowoc, before we moved over here. And then we've been in the Fox Valley since then. So he's played since he's 4, and it's just so fun to be able to watch him do something that he loves. And my husband coaches his team for the last few years now. So the whole family.
Nice. Now,
affair.
does he go to school or what?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Lynn Elementary.
Okay.
And the kids really
So obviously the Miracle League Fox Valley is part of a bigger program. Could you tell a little information about the Miracle League as far as a nationwide program?
Sure. From what, so the Miracle League is a nationwide program, as you said. I don't know exactly how many Miracle Leagues there are in the country, but there are a lot of Miracle Leagues throughout the country. And it's the same mission to support kids to play baseball.
So do you get some support from the national group, or are you kind of really looking for local support for the Fox Valley group?
Yep, local supports throughout the Fox Valley.
Okay. Is the Miracle League run through Goodwill?
Yes. Yep. So we are a program of Goodwill.
Okay.
Yep.
So as far as if people were looking to donate and people were looking to help out, they can go directly through Goodwill and donate money, donate time, and things like that?
Yes, they can go through there. Yep, we have our Miracle League of the Fox Valley website. They can go right on there, and there's options on there like for volunteer positions. We're always looking for sponsors and donors to keep our program running. We definitely rely on all of them to keep it going.
And your sponsors look like you guys grow your sponsors every year. It looks like you have long-time loyal support from a lot of them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've have sponsors that have definitely been sponsoring since the league started back in 2010.
Wow. No, that's fantastic. And
yes,
yeah, you can never have too many sponsors, and you have expenses like everybody else. And
yep, absolutely. We have sponsors for our team jerseys, our volunteer T-shirts, trophies, photography sponsor, lots of opportunities.
Is there is Miracle League is just baseball? Do they do any other sports? Miracle League other sports?
Just baseball. Yep, just baseball. Yep.
Is there any reason for that? Was the original founder? Do you know? Was he a fan of baseball, or him or her, or was it?
I'm not sure the reasoning. Yeah, I don't know why they don't.
It's the great American game, so I can understand.
Yes, absolutely.
You mentioned in the spring you're looking at resurfacing the field. Will you be looking for volunteers specifically to help out with that as well, or is there somebody who comes in and does that for you?
Someone that does come in and do that for us. Yep. They have that come in and do that for us.
That's good.
The season's still going on?
We just ended in July. So we play June and July. So our season just ended the end of July.
Very good. And I guess the athletes, how do they find out about the Miracle League? It's a tight network, or do they, if somebody's out there with a disability and wants to play, how do they find you?
Sure. We have a Facebook page that we're on that we post a lot on. I know people hear things just from like their therapists or their schools, stuff like that. I get contact from.
Do all the teammates, they kind of bond and
yes. Yep. And a lot of them all have been playing together for years. So you try to keep the teams, similar. So they, come back every season and back to their same team and coaches. And
no, that's fantastic. What a wonderful group. And it's a miracle. I love the name, and it's very true.
Yes, it's very fun.
Just to think a little bit more about the volunteer side, what age do you have to be to volunteer and help out?
Sure. So our volunteer positions start at age 12. And so we have different volunteer opportunities. We have buddies, coaches, we have team helpers. umpires, pitchers. There's field assistants. Lots of different opportunities, but starting at age 12.
Yeah, it sounds like it takes a village to run a game each night.
It does. It does. It sure does.
And it, like I said, I've seen my son Will, and it is fantastic. I mean, there's so much going on, but you guys do a great job of just making it an experience, and that's what I loved about it. It is truly an experience. It's so cool.
Absolutely.
You've had, I was out there one year, and you had the Timber Rattlers out there to help out. Do they help out every year or put on an event?
They do, yeah. This past season, we had Fang and Whiffer came out to a couple of our games, and that was super fun. The players loved it. It was such a good time. Yeah. We absolutely love having them come out to the field.
Yeah.
So
Fang can light up any crowd.
Yes, absolutely. We always do a night of baseball at a Timber Rattlers game. So players and buddies and volunteers, we all go out to a game, and they get to have a little parade at the Timber Rattlers stadium and before the game, and cheer on the Timber Rattlers.
That's fantastic.
One thing I want to point out as well. I mean, these athletes are playing, and you have the buddies. The parents aren't necessarily out in the field helping. This is a chance for the parents to see their kids play as well and to experience this whole thing also, right?
Yep, absolutely. It's fun to watch the parents too. Yeah, the joy that they see when they get to watch their kids play baseball.
Yeah, from an outsider, and just seeing the smile on everybody's face there. It's incredible, absolutely incredible.
Jenny, do you do anything else with Goodwill as your primary job, just doing the Miracle League, or?
Just program leader for the Miracle
that's great.
League.
Wow. Full-time job.
Yeah. I've learned a lot. It's been fun. So
what do you do now that the season's over and in preparation for next year?
Sure. So now that the season's over, just kind of we have a steering committee that we meet monthly just to start, prepping for next season. Looking at, what changes do we want to make? What do we need for the field? Prepping for next season. Just getting ready. Our registration opens February 1st. So once that opens, and it's getting, forming teams and matching and pairing buddies. And
I would assume that to pair 220 players with buddies and on teams, that's got to be a lot of time in the spring getting that all set.
It did. It took me a lot of time, especially with my first time doing it. And my background is I'm a nurse.
Okay.
So this was all very new to me, but it was super fun. But it was very time consuming.
So here's a question then. Your background as a nurse. So what made you want to jump into a role like this?
Really, my son. That first game that my husband and I went to 7 years ago, we both said, how cool would it be to run one of these leagues someday? Nice. And we just thought it was just life-changing for ourselves and for our son. And so the opportunity came about, and here I am.
I love, that, that's kind of what this podcast is all about, is to discover those kind of stories. That's really, really cool. And it helps so many kids for sure.
I'm curious, are there some big plans in for next summer with the new field and like big, huge events that are going to surround that opening of the new field?
Nothing planned yet, but yes, we hopefully will have something planned. This past season, we did a little bit newer thing with our players. We did an opening night before the game started, and they all could come out, get their jerseys, meet coaches and buddies. But we had Chick-fil-A was there handing out stuff. Nice. And we had a face painter and ballooner. Wow. And Culver's had donated ice cream to the players. So it was a really fun, fantastic time to kind of kick off our season for the players.
You get pretty good crowd out there on game nights.
Yeah, this was a big crowd this year. Yeah, there was a lot of people that came, so that was awesome.
Well, that's so cool. What we want to do is we want to get the word out to people and let people know to go to the website, Miracle League of the Fox Valley, and definitely donate, definitely volunteer. We get word out to these high school kids to come out and enjoy this time with buddies and volunteer as well. So we're going to get your word out and really make sure that people know what the Miracle League of the Fox Valley is.
Great. Thank you so much.
Hey, Newsa-Cast listeners, you can find every episode on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Please help us grow by subscribing or sharing the Newsa-Cast, or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Our second interview today, we're taking a look at the Challenger League and having a great interview with Mike Hipple and his mom, Sue, and Kurt Dietzen from Fox Cities Pop Warner. If you're interested in helping volunteer-wise, maybe make a donation, maybe make a difference in a kid's life, go to Appleton Pop Warner's website, the Challenger League. Sign up, give them a call, shoot them a text, shoot them an email, help them out. In the meantime, enjoy this interview. Thank you for joining us. This is anxious to just meet Mike and just understand what Mike's all about.
Yeah, so Mike communicates with a communication device, so it's a little tricky for him to respond to questions on the fly. I asked him some questions, and then he typed up some things.
Sure.
Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time to interview our group. My name is Mike Hipple, and I am a huge sport fan. I played soccer, wheelchair bowling, baseball, and of course the Challenger League football. I was watching ESPN one morning and they had a story about a football league for children with a disability. And I asked my mom, can we do that? And she said, I don't know. I kept on asking her until one day she said, okay, Mike, I will look into this, but don't get your hopes up. Mom, will you take it from here?
And that's pretty much the story. Kurt will tell you, anyone that knows Mike knows he's very persistent.
That's awesome.
That's perfect.
So me being the good mom I am, I ignored him for as long as I could. And when I couldn't ignore him anymore, I believe we sent a letter to Kurt with our phone number in Pop Warner football. And Kurt had no idea what he was getting himself into, associating with the Hipples, but he was nice enough to talk to us. We went out to the Pop Warner fields. He did some research because actually Challenger football developed out east, and it was a dad in the New York area that developed it for his son.
That is awesome. And we're joined with Kurt Dietzen from Pop Warner. And I guess, Kurt, do you want to just explain a little bit what is the Challenger League? How is it associated with Pop Warner? What do you have going on out there? I know it's pretty special.
Okay. Yeah. So as Sue mentioned, I met with the Hipples out there, and we talked about putting the Challenger League together. This was back in 2006. And we checked some other families from Little League Baseball, their Challenger program. I believe Nina and a few others that Sue and Mike knew. And we started out that year with a I think a relatively small group. It was probably about a dozen kids, I think, maybe a little more. We did get some of our ideas from the league that was out on the East Coast. At that time, I believe there was maybe a handful of Challenger programs in the country. Well, we started that fall, and we didn't really know what we were going to all do, but we took some of the information that we got from that other league, and we started playing games out at Plowman Park. And from there, we kind of got a feel for what we could do and what we couldn't do, and brought in volunteers from the high schools and so forth around the area. And so we've been kind of continuing on that since 2006. And every season is a little bit different with different players that come into the program. But I don't know that we've changed it a whole lot from those first few years. It's worked out great.
In 2006, we had 2 games, and then the next year we expanded it to 4 games, and after that second year, we've expanded it to 6 games is our season.
Kurt, if you could tell me how many players do you have now?
Well, this year we have 48 kids registered right now.
Wow.
I would expect they're going to probably get a few more that are going to show up in the next couple of weeks. We do start this Saturday after Labor Day. So there's definitely a lot of interest in playing the Challenger program.
Can you guys explain a little bit, like what does a game look like? Is it 11 on 11, 8 on 8? Do the kids get to pick a position they want to play? I mean, I guess the first question really, Sue, what's Mike's favorite position? What does he like to play?
Do you like his favorite
I
position?
played football for 6 seasons, and my favorite thing about playing was I was with my friends and we were doing the same thing as our typical peers were doing. I love to watch the games, to cheer on the players, and to watch them grow up.
So what we do is we divide into 2 teams, and our players are boys and girls with some type of special need, and from ages 6 to 18. So there's a huge age range, and there's a huge range in abilities. When Mike was playing, Mike uses a manual wheelchair, and he's not able to hang on to the ball, so it really was a family affair. His grandma sewed a little pouch for him so we could slip the football in the pouch, and then we could tie the pouch to the front of his wheelchair, and then he'd have a buddy, because the game is played with buddies. The buddy would push him into the end zone. But Kurt, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about, that we play on a 50-yard field.
Yeah, we typically start like on the 40-yard line, and we're going to the same end zone, and then we switch around and come back. So it's actually similar to what we do with our rookie tackle program and our flag program out at Flamen right now. But yeah, we will start on the 40, and one team will have the ball. We don't necessarily say that it's going to be a 5-on-5 or 7-on-7, but we depending on who's at the game that day, we make sure that everybody's playing. We don't want anyone to sit out and miss a game. As far as we have coaches that are out on the field along with the kids and the buddies. The coaches they huddle up just like any other football team. They call a play, and they run the play, or they do both running and passing, and they'll march the ball down the field. We usually have a couple of volunteer officials out there, so we are calling the whistles and so forth. So we basically march down the field, and one of the kids will score, and we tend to put them in any type of position that they feel comfortable with. So they can be a center, they can be a quarterback, a running back, a receiver, and we try to shift them around so they get an opportunity to try all those. But
sure.
They definitely love, just like any other kid, they love to score.
Yes.
And some of them really do some creative touchdown dances after they score, but they definitely love to score, just like any other kid out there. So
I was thinking that was going to be my next question for Mike. Does Mike and his buddy have a touchdown dance?
My favorite thing was running back.
So his favorite position was running back.
Oh, nice.
And I say, Mike, do you have a favorite touchdown? I mean, the touchdown dances were all different, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys were just really creative. The kids do age out at 18. So Mike is an old man here at 28. So he's what we refer to as the football commissioner now. He's on the sidelines, visiting with the parents, visiting with the players, and kind of the face. We see people out in the community and Mike, we're going to do football again this year.
That's terrific. So if I'm understanding the story correctly, the inspiration and the main reason for the Challenger League is Mike, correct?
It is. I think Mike is a key guy to bring this together, and we love that Mike has been with us since 2006. Both him and Sue are there every week.
Wow.
So
it sounds like both of you guys. And
we brought Warner's attention. Pop Warner ran with it. You know, if they wouldn't have said yes, we wouldn't have had a league. So really, all the credit goes to Kurt and Pop Warner.
My best friend.
We love that we have a long time.
You have to have the face of football there, right?
We have, you know, we have actually some other players that come back and help out as a official or you know, other things at times. So that's kind of a nice thing to see those former players come back and be part of the program.
That Saturday experience out there is really second to none. But I know you guys have, I mean, I think you're almost 80% of the way for your fundraising for a new Challenger field out there, correct?
That's correct.
I
don't know if Mike is right.
My brother and my best friend were my favorite helpers.
I tease. The only player we ever dumped was Mike's brother, Doug, dumped Mike in his wheelchair once. Otherwise, we've had a pretty safe run.
Sounds like a typical brother, doesn't it?
That's good. Yeah, it kind of does. Was that on purpose or?
You think it was on purpose? Oh, poor Doug. He's not here to defend himself.
Yeah. Can you tell us, Kurt, a little bit about what is planned for the project?
We have a lot of football going on out there, but we in the past, and you know that, Joe, we from Appleton Pop Warner and Fox Valley Pop Warner, we played in other fields around the area, high schools, middle schools, and so forth. And when we started out in Plowman in 2003, you know, one of the purposes was to bring everybody together to play in one location. And when we started playing, we actually started playing Challenger games at other fields. We were playing at some of the area middle schools. We played at the Bonta Bowl for some games. We played at Appleton West. Although it's nice that we had those opportunities to play in other locations, we wanted to try to bring them back to play in the same location that all the rest of the players are playing. And so we have brought that back, and we are currently trying to build a Challenger field out at Plowman, and that goal would be to have all our players at one location, so that kids can be part of the Challenger League, but they're also part of, you know, our entire league, and they're included in all, you know, all the things we do out there. I think it's, you know, although it sometimes seems like there's an awful lot of people out there to work through.
Right.
I think it's just really nice to have the kids out there be part of the whole program and have other kids cheer for them and them cheer for the other kids. So
that atmosphere out there on a Saturday, it's truly, it's a college. It's like, I mean, it's a special experience. You're looking to put in a 60-yard or a 50-yard with the end zone and 60-yard turf field, and I would imagine that's certainly going to make the Challenger League much better and much easier for the kids to play.
Yeah, we're looking at a 60-yard field, and it's definitely going to be much improved for kids with mobility problems, those in wheelchairs or braces and so forth. But it will be a lot nicer field, and it'll be safer for all the players. Yeah, we had Shields and Myron partner for the naming rights for the field. We had the Green Bay Packers were kind of our lead major donor, and then we also have a Nelson Fund family. So we have a number of large donors, but we also have other donors that are all contributing to this project. So we're hoping that we can go ahead with that next spring. So we'll have numbers in here probably in October, and hopefully we'll be able to make that call, I guess, at that time.
I had one question. We had Miracle League on, and they talked about the number of volunteers that are needed to put a program like that on. How many volunteers do you have? Are you still looking for volunteers?
Yeah, we are always looking for volunteers, and with the numbers growing, the need is higher. So Sue has been reaching out this year to some of the area high schools. So we have a few of them on board to help out at the game. So we have high school players that are actually going to be participating. We do have parents or other family members that are volunteers as well. But we're hoping this year that we get more help from the high school program. So we've had them in the past, and the kids that come there, I think they benefit from being part of the program, being volunteer.
Sue, other than being the commissioner of the Challenger League, which I know is a full-time job, what else does Mike enjoy doing? Is he a fan of the Packers? It looks like perhaps the Brewers. Looking at your room that you're in, what is Mike all like?
He's a big Brewer fan, Badger fan. We also belong to a service organization called Kiwanis, and actually our Kiwanis Club donated $1,000 in Mike's honor to help with the cost of the field.
I love that we are playing out there because they see in public like.
Yeah, and we just both wanted to comment as far as it's really important for other families. It's important for other kids to see their fellow classmates with varying needs just out there on the field, too. And I think it really means a lot.
I love that we are playing out there because they see in public like anyone else.
Yep, they're seen in public like anyone else.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's huge. That's awesome. That's the power of the Challenger League for sure. And like Eric said, we talked to the Miracle League, and they are doing similar things with the sport of baseball, and it's absolutely, that's so terrific for the kids, and it's just a way for them to compete and be out in public, right?
Yeah. So if anyone has a lead on more volunteers, like Kirk said, we do have some games covered, but not all of them. Feel free to give out my email address as a contact for volunteers.
No, we will.
So it'd be better for them to email you for volunteers instead of going through Pop Warner?
We also have a Facebook page for the Challenger League.
Okay.
But yeah, either way, we'll get them to the right spot at the right time.
Yeah.
All right.
Basically, it's a 2-hour commitment on a Saturday. The biggest challenge is finding parking, because it is a big, busy place, and we always tell our volunteers that bring a friend and carpool because it is a busy place.
Well, that is great.
Yeah. Does Mike have anything else that he wants to get off his chest?
He's working on something. That's.
They don't know.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
Well, we really appreciate the fact, we want to try to get awareness out for the Challenger League, and we're hoping through this podcast that we can get you more volunteers and maybe get you some more donors for the field as well. It's a great story, and such a great thing that you do for these players. Really appreciate everything that all of you do to have a program like this in the Fox Valley.
And again, we couldn't do it without the players' families. They bring them
They
to
don't
the
need to know about football.
And the volunteers, they don't need to know anything about football.
Perfect.
All they need to want is to have a great time. It certainly is a great time.
Well, Mike, I like to have a great time.
Well, thank you guys so much. We appreciate your time. And the Brewers won, Mike, so that's good.
Yeah, got a little scary there in that one inning.
It did. All right, Newsa-Cast listeners, here is a nice segment where we take a look at history, whether it's Northeast Wisconsin, the United States, the world. We always want to take a little bit look and see what's happening. So this is the old look at new. And I have one that dates back to September 8th, all the way back to 1900, Joe.
Wow, nice.
And this is when a hurricane hit Galveston, Texas, killing over 8,000 people.
Wow.
120-mile-per-hour winds. It made it at the time, I don't know, I think it still is the worst natural disaster in U.S. history. The hurricane and the tidal wave, it was a tidal surge, actually, that followed, destroyed over 2,500 buildings.
Wow.
And killed 8,000 people. Really was one of the reasons why we have such a well-developed hurricane system now, where we have our warnings and our watches and things like that, because there wasn't a lot. I mean, it was 1900, we didn't really know a lot. We couldn't warn people. So pretty bad hurricane, obviously.
Yeah, I would imagine that probably came out of nowhere for them too in 1900.
Yeah, I didn't have the technology that we do now.
Unfortunately, it takes disasters to improve technology. You see that in airplane crashes, car crashes, things like that. You don't like to see it happen, but at least they do find some good and keep advancing. So
right.
Hopefully the devastation isn't quite as bad.
We just had that major hurricane hit Florida.
Yeah.
Luckily we do have that warning system out so people could be covered. And, we didn't, I haven't heard that there are any deaths, but there's obviously lots of destruction, lots of flooding. Cedar Key was really flooded out. Hearts go out to the people who are in that area as well.
Right.
But, it is hurricane season right now, and we have lots of tropical disturbances and stuff kicking up throughout that Atlantic region. So we always keep an eye, being an earth science teacher, weather is one of those things. And I always look at the weather every single day with the students. And we take a look at some of those hurricanes and different things like that, try to track them and try to, look at our own weather as well. Try to get the kids to observe some things. So yeah, all the way back in 1900, September 8th.
Keep me in the Midwest, Tosh. I like the weather here.
Yeah. I don't want to dodge any hurricanes.
Yeah, no, exactly. Maybe a tornado here and there, but we're good.
What do you got, Joe?
Well, being, like I said earlier, you and I we're recording this on Labor Day weekend. And with that, for me, has always been the U.S. Tennis Open. I love tennis. I'm not a player of tennis, but to me, I've always loved watching the U.S. Open. And I'm sitting in the Davenport today watching the game and thinking, I wonder if anybody from Appleton or this area has ever played in the U.S. Open. And of course, right away, I didn't take long and the memory jogged. The Whitlingers, if you remember. Oh, yeah. Whitlinger sisters. And they actually, I spent a little bit of time looking them up. So if for those of you that don't know, it's the Whitlingers are a famous family in Neenah. And in fact, they're I would say the ambassadors of the state of Wisconsin for tennis and high school tennis. Neenah High School is regularly the number one tennis program in the state.
Yeah, still one of the top programs for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And, they have a big staple out of the Fox Cities Racket Club. I know, there's Whitlingers all over out there as well. And it started with Warren Whitlinger was he came to the area in the early 1900s, but through the generations, they were just a very, very athletic family and really focused on tennis. And I had forgotten this, but on Doty Island, there is it's hidden. Everybody that's familiar with that, it's basically a residential island. People live there, and there's this barn that's I've been by it a few times, and I don't know if you've seen it, but that's where the Whitlinger sisters, Tammy and Terry, their brother John, they were professional tennis players, and that's where they learned to play in this barn. And I look back on an article, and Tammy recalls that they played in there year round. So even in the winter, it's basically right on Lake Winnebago. She said they'd have to warm up in jackets for 10 minutes, to get warm in the winter, and then slowly shed layers, and then they could play. But anyway, getting back to my original old look at new, in fact, Tammy played she qualified, made the U.S. Open in 1989. And in 1996, both of those years, she made it to the third round in the singles. Okay. Terry, her sister, I don't believe played singles, but her and Tammy teamed up in doubles. So So in 1990, I believe they made their debut, and in 91, they made it to the third round in doubles. Oh, wow. So yeah, pretty cool. So that is cool. Right from Neenah, Wisconsin, we've had some representation in Flushing Meadows, and I thought that's kind of cool. That is cool. Yeah, I believe their dad was a longtime coach at Neenah High School as well. Yeah, you and I should probably maybe put that on our list of somebody to try to track down a Whitlinger, because there's way too much to talk about in this segment about that there's family. There's a lot of history with that family of tennis. So that's awesome. That's very cool. So yeah, that's our little old look at new from a couple of different perspectives. So it's gosh, I like this segment. It's always good to learn history. History is a good subject. It's one of those things where you learn from history, right?
You learn from mistakes. You learn from things that went right. Just like John Belushi said in Animal House when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor in his speech. You have to learn a little bit from history.
That's right. That's right. It's Herbie Hancock, right? He's the president.
Yeah, exactly, Tommy.
Yeah.
Well, that was good, and we hope you enjoy all the things that we put together here for you, and continue listening. All right, Newsa-Cast listeners, here's that throwback clip. This year we're going with all the way back to 1997.
Tosh, that might have been, at least from maybe not quite from a lineup standpoint, but from an all-time fun personal time, 97 was tough to beat with Bobby Hall, Lynn Swann,
right,
Pat Richter. We won't get into it on this show, but let's just say we had some fun that night.
Absolutely. We learned what old-time hockey was about.
We definitely did. We definitely did. But that's not why we're here. Lynn Swann is our throwback, and Howard Cosell, described him as maybe the most perfect wide receiver of his time. And if anybody remembered Howard Cosell, you certainly have to be a little bit older to remember him. He didn't hand out compliments freely. He meant what he said. And Lynn Swann, to me, he was probably, I was trying to think of this. I think, Tash, he was probably the first real wide receiver that I remember. Like, when you think of a long, lean wide receiver that's graceful on the field, Lynn Swann's like that first guy that kind of remembered, at least in my childhood. Yeah, and I remember him being graceful, being acrobatic, just a body control alone. He was that type of receiver. He wasn't the strong, burly. He was graceful out there. Yeah. We talked to, in an earlier podcast, we talked with Maddie Wanamaker, who's with the U.S. rowing team. Shout out Maddie, who's rowing actually right now on their way to Paris. But we talked about ballet, and we specifically brought up Lynn Swann because I remember, again, Lynn Swann taking ballet, and that certainly helped, tiptoeing down the sidelines. Maddie talked about using ballet. Yep. It's very athletic, and there's no question that was an influence on Lynn Swann's skills. He was incredible. Yeah, I think he was one of the first receivers too. I mean, after him, you saw other receivers who got involved with different types of dance to try to improve their footwork and their balance and their coordination. As you'll find out, I mean, he's just one of those guys that like some of these throwbacks we've had, they just have that it. They know how to speak. And Lynn Swann, of course, after a Hall of Fame playing career, went on to do tons of things. I mean, he was on TV. He did a lot of broadcasting. We can still find him on TV. The guy is just flat out polished. And yeah, his speech is terrific. And that night in 1997, I remember this well. Lynn Swann came to the Red Smith Banquet because of the Boys and Girls Club. Now, if you listen to our podcast, you've heard some incredible stories about what we're doing here in Appleton, or what groups are doing in Appleton with the Miracle League and the Challenger League. And Lynn Swann came up here because of the Boys and Girls Club, another fantastic club that was influential in his life. He talks about that in the throwback. And without the Boys and Girls Club, we would never probably hear of Lynn Swann. So, and the Boys and Girls Club of the Fox Valley just celebrated their 25th anniversary as well, I believe. Right. With Big Mural and the building downtown Appleton. So absolutely. So just like we said with the other groups, the Miracle League and the Challenger League, Boys and Girls Club, they definitely need volunteers as well. But in the meantime, Tosh, let's have a little fun and go back to 1997 and listen to Lynn Swann. Yeah. And if you enjoy this, remember, this is just a clip. You can always catch the full interview on our YouTube channel. Go to that and you'll see the full Lynn Swann video and of his amazing speech that night. So go check that on YouTube, subscribe so you can see all of our throwbacks every single week. Yeah, check out our channel because we have Bill Walton, Leroy Butler, Goose Gossage. We have tons of really cool people that have graced the Red Smith Banquet. So check that out. And like Tosh said, please like, subscribe, share.
Red Red Smith Sports Awards. Banquet Throwback.
The Red Smith Award, of course, goes to someone who has made some unique contributions to sport in Wisconsin, and also epitomizes the great values that Red Smith exhibited.
Let's give a Red Smith welcome.
And please welcome Lynn Swann.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, sit down. You guys stand up for anything, don't you? I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Chuck. You read that very well. Telling Pat I spent a lot of time working on that just in case. Pat, congratulations to you. Bobby, it's a pleasure to be here with you. You know, Mr. Nice Guy. I didn't know anything about hockey. I always thought he was supposed to be like this tough, mean, hard-nosed guy. Is that true? But you did it. But you did it with a smile. Yeah. To all the local award winners, congratulations to the young people. Congratulations to you on your efforts and your outstanding performances. You know, God sent Reggie White to Green Bay. Having to come through Chicago to get here, I understand why. I guess his son sent me. It just took so long sitting on the runway. You know, when you're a young kid and you're involved in all the programs that this program supports, you receive a lot of benefits you don't even realize you're going to receive. You're just enjoying it at the moment. So that the fact that you raise money for the youth programs is immensely important. You know, as Chuck said, I've worked with Big Brothers and Big Sisters for many, many years, and they contacted me and asked me if I would come speak at this dinner. And they had contacted me years in the past, and I had not been able to get here, but the work you do is absolutely tremendous. I mean, there is no one way or one vehicle for children to have an experience, to realize their dreams. So we all need to work on the variety of resources we have and the variety of events. I mean, I played Pop Warner football for 2 years, and I couldn't play football. That's right. I was a lousy football player. The only reason why I played is because my older brother, Calvin, older by a year, joined the football team, and my mother told me that I could not join the team. So I snuck out and joined the team anyway. That's right. Youngest of 3 boys. Mother always wanted a daughter. I don't see the humor. So here I am playing Pop Warner football. I can't even make the team. I mean, I'm really not that good. They gave me the last uniform. I couldn't do anything. You know, they put me on as a defensive back. I couldn't stop anybody. I ran back some punts. You know, I was just there because my older brother was a big guy. He even came back the second year, and they made me a starting wide receiver. So I'd gone from nothing to a starting wide receiver. But we didn't throw the football. I learned how to block. Oh, we threw it one time. Jumped up, caught a pass, defensive back caught it at the same time. I was so afraid he was going to take it away. I let go of the football, I grabbed him, I tackled him. Ran over to the side, and the coach says, "Why'd you do that?" I said, "Because he was bigger than me." He says, "Don't you know if you hang on to the football, it's yours?" I said, "Nope." He goes, "Well, remember that." I said, "Okay." I said, "Next time he throw me a pass, I'll remember that." That was the last pass he threw me for the entire season. Didn't stop me. I continued on. Continued on taking my dance lessons because my mother said, "My Lynn is going to dance. Play the piano, take home ec." I'm a good cook. What are you laughing at? My wife loves my cooking. She doesn't like my aprons. They're a little too frilly for her, but the food's good. But can you imagine a boy named Lynn? I went to an all-boys Catholic high school. Now, people think that I was born with a great gift of speed, a great leaping ability, this grace and style. You try leaving football practice with a pair of tights, ballet shoes, your name's Lynn. And if you can't run fast, jump high, go over a couple of fences, you just don't get there. You know? But it was actually fun. I enjoyed it. I went to the University of Southern California. I mean, there was a pattern developing in my life. I was going to football teams that did not throw the football. Went to the University of Southern California, got down there, and I decided to go there because I felt comfortable, and I thought I was a high school All-American. God, this is great. I'm going to stand down. I'll be a big star down here. There were 35 guys, 35 freshmen that went to USC in 1970. 33 were All-Americans. And they were looking at me going, he's a pretty small guy. We're not quite sure about him. I said, but my name is Lynn. Remember the big dog theory, you know? We run faster when we're being chased. These guys in college were very, very intense. You know, and we learned a lot of lessons in terms of the intensity and people who cared about you in different ways. Not everybody's going to care about you the way Toby Smith cares about you. You don't want that from everybody. But I had coaches who worked as hard in Pop Warner and Little League that tried to teach us the value and the fun of playing that sport and what it was all about. So that when you got out in a tough situation, there was a lot of pressure, you didn't have to worry about those things. You executed to play the game that you wanted to, you know, and you're always on top of it. When I went to the Pittsburgh Steelers, we had a group of guys that were just phenomenal. And of course, you all know Rocky Blair because he's from Appleton, Wisconsin, and a tremendous athlete and player. All right? But these guys were so wild and so different. It's like you learned from them and you had fun every step of the way. I mean, and they weren't all serious. Everybody wants to compare the Pittsburgh Steelers and the old Green Bay Packers. I don't want to compare them. We know in Pittsburgh that we probably would have beaten the Packers, so we don't want to go there. Yeah, but I'm old. I don't have to prove it, so it's okay to say those things. You know? But we had a bunch of guys that relished the game and had fun. I think the way the Packers relish the game and have fun today, the way the players jump in the stands, the way they work hard for the game, the way they appreciate all of your efforts. I mean, for 40 years in Pittsburgh, they never had a championship until 1974 when the Steelers won. And those guys like Joe Green and L.C. Greenwood and Rocky and Franco. And it wasn't that they had the most talent in the world, but they worked pretty hard and enjoyed what they did. It's amazing. I mean, I'm sitting and looking and I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen with football for the next 10 years. I'm going to become a head coach. I am going to become a head coach. When Mike Holmgren retires and Reggie, what? You don't want him to retire, do you? No. Reggie White will probably move here and become the next head coach of Green Bay. No? Reggie told me he was going to move to Green Bay. Said he's going to live there full time. Said, you people are the nicest people in the world. He told me that a year and a half ago at the Pro Bowl in Hawaii. Didn't tell me it was a secret. I'm a reporter. Al Michaels, let's go down to the sidelines, Lynn Swann. Swann, what's going on? Well, I got Reggie White here, and Reggie said he's moving to Green Bay, and Reggie's going, tell me anything. It's on national TV. I love it. You know, my mother didn't know anything about football when I was a kid playing football. She didn't want me to play. She protected me. I played against my brother in high school. We had wars and battles. I'm sitting in Pittsburgh one day. At home, the game's over, we lose. I get a phone call from my mother. My mother says, are you sick? I said, what do you mean? She says, are you not feeling well? Do you have a flu? You have a broken back or ribs or something? I said, no, what's wrong? I said, you dropped that pass today. Now, I've never dropped a pass in my entire life. I said, what are you talking about? She said, well, you know, you dropped that pass in the third quarter. It was 3rd and 8. You came across the middle? I said, Mom, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean drop pass? She said, look, son, It was a split formation. The zone defense rotated up strong side. The linebackers blitz. The safety fake coming in, came back. You ran the post in. You ran it a little shallow. Terry threw it high where he normally throws it. You dropped it. I said, Mom, that was 10, 11 feet in the air. I jumped up and it grazed my fingertips. She goes, so son, if you can touch it, you should catch it. I love my mother. She supported us 100% of the time, except when she didn't want me to go out and play Pop Warner football. But that's okay. She got over it. She came to all the games. Matter of fact, when I was playing the San Diego Chargers, my mother was in the stands, handing out pictures of me, wanting everyone to know that I was her son, signing them, Lynn Swann's mother. I'm proud of my mother, too. She's a wonderful lady. She raised us well. But I just like to tell you that it's an honor for me to be here. I'm glad you invited me out so I could come to Appleton, Wisconsin. I have truly heard remarkable things about your town and the effort you make for the people in the community here. And so it's a pleasure for me to be here. You know, it's always important, not so much, that you win, that you have the greatest successes, but that you participate. That you have a chance to try, that you have a chance to gain some tools to realize your dreams and to make some things happen. Everybody is not going to be a star, everybody's not going to be a hero. But everybody should have the chance to participate and know what it's like to be on the team, to test themselves. And when you give young people that challenge, you can only realize great things for them, for yourselves, and for your community. So I appreciate all the effort and all the things you do on behalf of your community. Thank you very much. And by the way, I will be signing autographs at the silent auction back there for Big Brothers and Big Sisters. It's only $3,000 an autograph. Come on back. Thank you.
Time for the segment that we always mispronounce. It's the Forgotten and Never Forgetting. I got that right this time, Joe.
Giddy up, Tosh. We're getting better.
We are getting better. Well, I'm going to head into this right away. I have a Forgotten, and my Forgotten for this week is the nerves that I get after 23 years of teaching before the first day with kids.
Oh, really?
It doesn't matter. It always happens. I always sleep terrible the night before. Not that anything bad ever happens. It's just that some reason it's the nerves of starting school that I get terrible sleep the night before we come back.
Interesting. Little game time nerves, maybe?
Yeah, a little bit, I guess. Little butterflies. So I want to keep forgetting those. I want to get some good night's sleep before the first day of school instead of being up every hour and looking at the clock and, oh, it's 12. Oh, it's 1.
Those nights, yeah, there's no question those nights stink and you don't sleep well, but I think that also means you really like teaching. I've found the nights that I have that kind of sleep, it's before whatever. And it turns out I usually like whatever that event is. So I'm thinking it's because you still like teaching, Tosh.
It could be. I guess we'll see.
We're into school when this is released. Everybody will be a few days into school, and
summer's over. Official end of summer. So school's starting. Kids will be in. Nice hot weather to start the school year, just like it always is, and no looking back now.
Speaking of that weather, my Forgotten, and it's not this, but it should be. I remember those days in elementary school or, junior high with no air conditioning, starting the day when you're starting the school year at 90 degree humid.
That was for sure. So what do you got for this segment, Joe?
Well, it's Forgotten, Tosh. It's the roof of my mouth is forgotten. I'll tell you that. I bit into a piece of pizza last night, and I'm still feeling the scabs.
Not frozen pizza.
Oh yeah, yeah. Frozen. I got to do 5 of those a week, maybe. It's a good staple.
It is a good staple.
Yeah, I was in a bit too much of a hurry, and the steam was coming off of it, and I thought I'll be all right. Bit into it and scorched the living, out of the roof of my mouth. And
it's hotter than the surface of the sun when it comes out of the oven.
That's right. So There's a little lisp on this end. It's because my tongue hurts on hitting the roof of my mouth. So definitely the roof of my mouth is forgotten.
That's hilarious.
And I know, Tosh, for Never Forgetting, this is there's a lot of great memories. You and I have a similar one, and gonna have you run with this one because it's kind of near and dear to our heart. It was a big part of our life, and we're talking. It's sad, Jimmy Buffett passing away, and I'll let you run with it, Tosh. We had some great times.
Well, yeah. Jimmy Buffett is a big part of formative years of growing up. I know I started seeing Jimmy all the way back in 1987, I believe was the first show I went to. And at that time, I remember getting tickets the day before the show. They were reserved seats and they were like $25. Yeah. So, I mean, that date's a long time ago, but I think I was looking back on Sunday. He passed away on September 1st. And looking back, and I believe that I went to 25 shows.
Nice.
So over the course of the years, I haven't gone as much recently, with kids and everything else, it gets in the way of stuff, but, some great times. I mean, we had some caravans down to Jimmy Buffett during some years. We had 30 people camping out in a guy's backyard, had, volleyball set up, and just some great times. Just salt of the earth people. It was like going to a Dead show. Everybody was friendly. Everybody liked each other. Everybody got along.
There's only a few experiences in the music side. You mentioned it. I mean, you have Deadheads, you have Parrot Heads. I mean, those
Fish Heads,
right? When you go to those shows, I'm sure there's some others that we're missing, but those in particular, when you go to those shows, yeah, the music's great, the venue's great, but it's the parking lot, the scene before the quote Shakedown Street. That's boy. Tosh and I went to. Tosh went to way more shows than I did of Jimmy Buffett, but we used to go just about every year to Alpine Valley through the 90s. And I know this is a kid show, but we may have had a 55-gallon container of WAP that you and I were cutting fruit for a few days beforehand. But that's
Jimmy Buffett.
That's exactly, that's a Parrot Head, right? You go to the show with WAP, you camp out at a farm right next to the parking lot. You're there all day. You're in the sun. You're playing volleyball, football, whatever you're doing, and then you go and I mean, Jimmy's music is there's nothing else like that, right? It's island music. It's Jimmy Buffett music, and
it's his own style. I mean, he single-handedly developed a style.
Yeah,
I mean, you think about Jimmy Buffett, and you think about how he took a style and made it into an empire.
Yes,
and the Margaritavilles, his retirement communities, everything. He wrote books. Yeah, if you haven't read a Jimmy Buffett book, highly recommend. Salty Piece of Land, Pirate Looks at 50 was his autobiography. Go check that one out for sure. Jimmy Buffett lived a pretty good life, and
no doubt,
no doubt about that. Some really good Tales from Margaritaville was one of his first ones, little short stories. So definitely, he was that island lifestyle, and just definitely not going to forget his music. And I've been listening to it all week, and we'll continue to. I mean, it's always been a part of my heavy rotation. But I don't know if people realize what an impact he had on so many other musicians, and you're going to see all the tributes and everything that comes out. But one that caught my eye was somebody asked Bob Dylan who his favorite songwriters were. And Bob Dylan said Jimmy Buffett.
No way.
Every single one of his songs tells a story.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of that's a big honor, since Bob Dylan was, he had the Nobel Peace Prize in poetry, right? The Nobel Prize of Poetry, I should say.
Right. I mean, he's arguably one of the greatest songwriters ever.
Yeah. So that's a pretty big honor. So that's pretty cool. But it's sad. 76 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely tugs at the heartstrings a little bit.
Yeah, it's always sad to see our favorite musicians go, and
it's the same was with when Jerry died.
Yeah.
Same type of thing.
The great thing though, especially with musicians, man, their stuff just lives on forever, right? I mean, Jerry Garcia is as big as he's ever been, right? And he's been dead for 25 years, and Jimmy's gonna be the same way. I mean, his music will never die. It's great that how we have access to all of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now but his music it'll stand the test of time. There's never going to be a summer where you're not going to play Jimmy Buffett. And you and I are recording this on Labor Day weekend. Come Monday, it's Labor Day, weekend, and I'm always going to play that song on Labor Day weekend forever.
Right, absolutely. And it was kind of fun watching college football yesterday, and every TV station was playing Margaritaville.
Yeah.
And at Auburn, the entire stadium sang Margaritaville. So yeah, lots of cool tributes out there. For somebody who was very, very well deserved.
100% brought so much joy to all of us. And live on, Jimmy. Live on, man.
Absolutely.
Or fins to the left, fins to the right, right? That's probably a little more appropriate.
Yep, bubbles up, Jimmy.
There it goes.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. We're going to end the episode with our own little tribute to Jimmy here. And hope you enjoy the show. And if you do, keep listening, keep going to wherever you get your podcasts. And continue to help us spread the word.
Always a hoot, Tosh.
You bet.
Thanks for listening to the Newsa-Cast. We appreciate your support. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so and tell a friend. A huge thanks to Digstown for all the music in today's episode. Catch a gig or find them on Spotify. Northeastern Wisconsin Sports Advancement is a 501c3 organization. Our mission is to raise money, provide support, and create awareness for youth sports organizations in northeastern Wisconsin. We do this primarily through the Red Smith Sports Award Banquet and the Newsa-Cast. Each year, we give back to the community through 3 initiatives: the Every Kid Plays, the Gives Back Initiative, and scholarships to student athletes.